some wood. So, meet Kinongo. He's a baby African elephant who was born on August 5th in this year in Kenya. Cute, right? When he was 3 to 4 weeks old, he was found stranded, hungry, and visibly stressed when he was walking along the Kweli-Kinongo Road outside of the Shimba Hills National Park, seeking comfort under an abandoned truck. He became an orphan at such a young age because his mother was poached nearby where he was found. Although he was transported to Nairobi to be a part of their orphans conservation group, for other elephants in situations similar to this, they don't end up as fortunate. Today I want to bring to your attention the travesty of illegal poaching of African elephants for their ivory. I'll explain to you the atrocious act of elephant poaching by giving you the history of poaching in Africa, discussing what is still happening today, and explaining what is being done to help end the slaughter of these animals. I have done research on this topic for a few weeks now and have used credible recent sources, and this is also a topic really close to my heart because they're like my favorite animals. So there may be a few graphic images in the slideshow, so I just want to apologize beforehand if they offend you, but I mean I couldn't really give the speech without showing 1 or 2 pictures of it. So, in order to fully tell you about elephant poaching, you guys need to know the history of poaching to begin with. Poaching in Africa has its roots in sport hunting. Elephants became prized trophies for big game hunters after Europeans arrived in Africa, and they soon realized the value of elephant tusks. According to WWF.org, in the early 1970s, demand for ivory soared, and the amount of ivory leaving Africa rose to levels not seen since the start of the century. Most of the ivory leaving Africa was taken illegally, and over 80% of all the raw trade came from poached elephants. Local people, poachers, governments, and revolutionaries all saw prospects in ivory, which was being sold for over $100 a pound at that time. It helped them make money to buy things such as food so that they wouldn't have to grow it themselves, or it also helped them pay for weapons so that they could continue their wars. Because an average of 200 elephants were being killed every day in the 80s in Africa, UN's Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, or CITES, created an international ban on the ivory trade on October 17, 1989, which caused ivory trades to halt and was very successful. In 1989, when they were added to the international list of the most endangered species, there were about 600,000 remaining, less than 10% of the original number in 1930 of 5 to 10 million. So even though poaching was outlawed in the 80s, it's still going on today and having detrimental effects on the elephant population in Africa. According to the United Nations report from June of this year, elephant poaching levels are the worst they have been in the decade and are at their highest levels since 1989. The International Fund for Animal Welfare, or IFAW, stated that CITES has allowed sales of ivory stockpiles within the last few years, which has fed consumer demand and created opportunities for black markets. The world financial crisis has also attributed because African nations have had to cut back on their anti-poaching operations. A leading factor in the drive for poaching is the demand for it across the globe. The leading countries for illegal ivory trading are China being first, the United States being second, and then Japan and Thailand following in our wake. Skilled carvers in these countries can make very intricate things like you see here. They can also make bookmarks, cups, statues, combs, pieces of eyeglass frames, and here in the US, ivory is used for gun and knife handles. I have the graphic images coming up, so I just want to let you guys know. Ivory is becoming the latest conflict resource in Africa and the target of African armies, the main ones being the Lord's Resistance Army from the Congo, the Shabab, and the Janjaweed from Darfur. They are using the money from ivory sales to continue their fighting as they did before the ban. Common people are still assisting in poaching because the pound of ivory is going for over $1,000 on the market today. So once again, they're still using it to survive. Although it is hard to be certain about the exact numbers of dead elephants because they are being poached in remote zones, it is measured by the amount of ivory seized, and the IFAW has found that an average of 104 elephants are still being murdered every day. In 2011 alone, 14 large-scale ivory seizures occurred, which was the first double digit in 23 years, and 24.3 tons more than any previous year. That means that last year alone, 38.8 overall tons were seized, which means that over 4,000 elephants died. The IFAW has also reported that 10 years before the ban, the elephant population dropped from 1.2 million to 600,000. 20 years later, the population is less than 470,000 and can be extinct at these rates by 2020. So this chart just kind of shows you guys how drastic the population decline has been. Although it may seem like these conditions will cause the end of elephants, there are noteworthy things being done to ensure their survival. Supporters of anti-poaching efforts have recommended 3 solutions to stop poaching. According to the Wildlife Conservation Network, the first is increasing security on the ground. The second solution is the development of high technology to combat trafficking, like using GPS in elephants. And the third is the importance of lowering the demand for ivory around the world. Many countries, such as China, have begun to ban online ivory trades, which claim that the ivory pieces are vintage, but are in reality products of poaching. A website that we all may know here in the United States is Etsy.com that does the same thing. Conservationists are also trying to educate consumers and help them understand the reality of poaching by using the help of celebrities such as Yao Ming here with our little friend Kananga, Kristen Davis, Leonardo DiCaprio, Tobey Maguire, and Tom Hardy. In just a matter of years, elephants are going to be seen in zoos and habitats behind heavily guarded fences and in cages, or even become extinct in our lifetimes if we do not anything today to stop this illegal poaching. Elephants are considered keystone species in the African landscape, which means that they're pretty important for natural life there. Animals depend on them for pulling down trees, creating salt licks, digging water holes, and forging trails. Their droppings also help the environment by dispersing seeds and helping feed baboons and birds who pick through their poop for undigested seeds and nuts. Also, because many young elephants are being orphaned like Kinango, there are no adults to teach them migration routes, dry season, water sources, and other learned behaviors. As Virginia McKenna, and founder and trustee of the Born Free Foundation said, elephants are living treasures, nature's gardeners, nature's great teachers. Tragically, some people don't give a damn. They prefer the dead treasure to the living one, the ivory. We must challenge the so-called trade with all our might, and shame on those who would condone it. So if you guys, if this impacted you, you guys can go, these are a couple of websites if you guys want to help. There's soselephants.org, wwf.org, and ifaw.org. So thank you.
So Bree, what did you think?
I love that she had so many pictures in there because it gave me like a real look on what's really happening. I mean, you can hear about it, but you can't really imagine until you actually see it, either in a picture or you're there. I also the info that you gave, it's. I mean, I wouldn't want to kill elephants even now. I know what elephants do, but I didn't know. You told a lot about how to, save them and, what they're doing to help, with the poaching and everything. I had no idea poaching was like that. Mm-hmm. So, I liked how you gave, you looked at the audience a lot. So that was good. So that's
Okay. There are only a couple things that I thought were at all problematic. One is the kind of heavy-handed reference to the research that you did. I liked it better when you said, "Look, elephants are one of my favorite animals. I've loved them since I was a kid." That kind of thing. So I was interested in this, and when I found out that there were, only 600,000 compared to 6 million that there were 20 years ago, I thought this is definitely what I needed to talk about. That's as much as your credibility statement needs to be. The idea that